Oh, all right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Good evening and a warm welcome to all at MESC Red Devils NCR. This is Delvin, and today I have Wali and Ojis Bhai with me on the screen. Good evening, gentlemen. What seemed
Hi.
like a pretty promising week has now culminated into us literally licking our wounds and just hoping that we do not fall apart from here. What started off as a very promising week is now teetering on the edge of uncertainty. And in the backdrop of this uncertainty, we are currently on the verge of facing Nottingham Forest, uh, and it's an away game, very crucial Premier League game because of the storyline that has surrounded this game week, which we will talk about in detail later on. But for now, Walibai, I come to you. What exactly are your thoughts entering into this game? Are you nervous? Are you scared shitless? Or what exactly are you feeling with this game?
This it's a massive game in hindsight because how many games are now remaining in the Premier League for us? Nine or 10. So that's a good number of games. We have to set this tone. We have to set the tone for the final few games, and without the likes of Martinez and Varane in particular, I think it's going to be a big challenge. And I'm not at all confident at this moment of time. Yes, people are saying that we did come second and third with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with Maguire and Lindelof, but let's not forget that uh, it was a COVID season. There was no fans in the stadium. We had a good away record as well. And yes, our home record is good. It's been really good this season. But when we travel away from home, that has been something which has been diabolic. I wouldn't say diabolical, but that has been something worth criticizing. So
Precisely.
without Varane and Martinez, it's going to be difficult. Also, the fact that Lindelof and Maguire haven't played with each other for quite some time now, and in order for a centre back pairing to click, you actually need to have that telepathic understanding between the two. And since they will be right now away from home, yeah, it does make me a bit nervous. And then David De Gea, yes, people have their debates whether he should be there or whether he should not be there, but he's another individual that we should worry about, and it's going to be difficult. Our midfield and our midfield and our attackers have to click. They have to click. And one guy who needs to click in his final few games and who needs to remain fit, touch wood, is Anthony Martial. His fitness is going to basically define how our season is going to end. If we have him for the next 9 to 10 games, I have high hopes that we will finish in top four. Probably can chip another trophy, but if he goes away, and then you have the likes of Maguire and Lindelof as your centre backs and Weghorst as your number nine, I am going to lose my mind. So yeah, it's going to be difficult, and I'm nervous. And the way that the Premier League has happened this weekend, you look at Tottenham; they were expected to win, they lose, they lost. Newcastle, all right, fine. I thought that Aston Villa were the favorites. They deservingly won. Sorry, they deservingly lost. And now, even if you look at Arsenal versus West Ham, everyone was saying it's a cakewalk for Arsenal. West Ham is in the relegation zone, and now you just look at it, and if like 5 minutes ago, Antonio just hit the woodwork, and if he would have just scored that goal, they would have been 3-2 up front. So it's turning out to be a crazy league, and it's a big game for Eric Ten Hag. He needs to motivate his players. I hope we get the win. If we do, they will be breathing space for the top four between us and fourth and fifth. So yeah, I am nervous. I hope we just can chip a 1-0 win.
It also gives us breathing room on third place also because we leapfrog Newcastle and go into third place, thereby also having a 3 point cushion. Not the best goal difference though, so that's a
Mm.
concern. But then again, 3 points being above the table based on 3 points is a much more heartening factor than being above on the top, being above them on the table just solely on goal difference. Ojas bhai, speaking to you, the lineup. What are your thoughts on the line? Just read out the lineup. It's De Gea on goal. Lindelof and Maguire are the centre back pairing, as Walibai pointed out. It's Dalo at left back and Van Bissaka on the right. Surprisingly, no place for Malasia in the squad. Then it's Sabitzer, Casemiro, and Bruno, the midfield three, and it's Anthony, Sancho, and Martial who will be the forward line. My question to you is, Ojas bhai, has Fred? What is up with Fred? I mean, is there something wrong with Fred fitness wise? Is there a disciplinary issue which is why Fred has not been able to get a lot of game time? Because let's not forget that Fred wasn't in the Brazil squad for the international break also. So Fred, compared to the rest of the midfielders, is relatively fresher and also can offer a little bit more in terms of defensive intensity or maybe that endless running when you want to put in a shift. Or is it purely on tactical reasons that Ten Hag wants someone with and seemingly endless amount of energy for the last 20 minutes of the game just in case to conserve our result if and when it is a positive result? So, what are your thoughts on the exclusion of Fred for a prolonged while? Because it's not just one game now. I think it's been 3 or 4 games on the bounce where it felt like Fred could do a much better job than the midfield options available. So, what are your thoughts on the lineup also? And what do you make of Fred's continuous exclusion from the side?
Um, I think we can look at this game the in two ways. Um, Eric Ten Hag gaining the gap on Newcastle, or the way that I look, that it is a game where we could have started Fred and rested Sabitzer for Europa next week. I also believe that Fred should have started it in at least two of the games of the past 4 or 5 games. Very surprising that he is not in the list of Eric Ten Hag when he's building a midfield to any game for past couple of weeks. But that is how the manager is thinking his best midfield option is. Casemiro, Bruno sitting deep. I think so. Sabitzer is again on the attacking midfield position today, if I'm not wrong. I think so. He's on the attacking midfield position.
I think it's
So
going to be the same formation where Bruno
yes,
will be the deep line playmaker and Sabitzer will be the most advanced midfielder out of all.
yes, and to be fair, Sabitzer will be. It's not a prediction. It's just a normal expectation that I'm saying. I see Sabitzer scoring again or being in the those places where he will have the scoring opportunity. This is the way he plays, and I think Eric Ten Hag looks for a midfield that looks settled, and he wants to gain points on Newcastle and sit comfortably on third because even he believes with the injuries that has happened to his camp that maybe, just maybe, winning a Europa League or what should I say, FA Cup is going to be tough, and we have to do with whatever we have right now, and that is to solidify our position in top four.
Yeah, at this point, with the injuries and with the seemingly threadbare nature of our squad, I think conserving top four becomes much more paramount in importance and in its magnitude. So, Walibai, speaking on the position of top four and the other competitions that we are in, now take this a week ago and then we would have definitely thought of putting in a great performance in the cup competition as well as in the Europa League, where it seems like, especially in the Europa League, as far as Europa League is concerned, we were touted to be one of the favorites to go all the way and into the finals in Hungary. But now that the injury crisis has seemingly struck us and has struck us hard, do you believe that maybe it's right now the time to maybe pick and choose? Would you want United? I'm talking from people can think of this particular conversation as an unpopular one or something like that. But would you want United to pick and choose their competitions from now on? Because on the off chance that we do go all the way in the FA Cup, that is, we make the finals in the FA Cup by beating Brighton, and if we somehow also manage to beat Sevilla in the second leg, that means we might have to play a minimum of 2 more double game weeks, which means basically that's a hell lot of games to play. The workload, the fixture congestion, you know what it is. We've been playing basically a game every 3 days since the World Cup, since the Premier League resumed after the World Cup break. So, do you think that this is the time maybe to pick and choose and maybe instead of distributing all the eggs in multiple baskets, maybe it's time to pick your basket and put all your eggs in that one basket? In this case, it is perhaps the top four. Wali bhai, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry for that. Actually, if you look at the points table, we are at 56 points at this moment of time, with 10 games to go. So practically speaking, for a team to qualify into the top four, I think a minimum on an average, I think 70 points are something which
It's
is
nine
required.
games. 9 games to go.
Okay, 9 games. So
29. Yeah.
70 points are required, I think, in order to qualify for the top four, practically speaking. So that would basically be that you need to win at least a minimum of 5 games out of 9. So that's basically half. So I think once you do like wrap up, like once you do start winning in the Premier League, the number of games that we are remaining, I think it would give you a clear vision as to what he would need to do. But in terms of Eric Ten Hag, he always wants to focus on the trophies, and I know that he's going to go strong once again in the second leg against Sevilla. So that is something which I am looking forward to. However, I wouldn't mind us losing the FA Cup. If we do even, let's say, God forbid, if we do manage to crash out of the top four, we can still win the Europa and get in the Champions League. And if we, let's say, not win Europe, if we do not win the Europa League, there's still us actually going into the top four and qualifying for the Champions League. So yeah, I think FA Cup is something which I do not give much importance to at this moment of time. I know we should. Practically speaking, I would want us to win each and every competition, but it's very difficult. It is very difficult. The number of injuries that we are getting, especially the quality players that are actually getting on the sidelines, and I don't think people are still unable to comprehend how big of a miss I think Martinez is going to be. He was, I would say, one of our most important players along with Casemiro, and him missing
Our
out is
best
something.
ball passer from deep. He's
Yeah.
basically our best ball passer from deep.
So I would say I would suggest that we could still the Europa League will get extended to few more days. I think we will get a clear picture as to what our status is in the Premier League in the next few fixtures. Because, like I said, we just need to win 4 to 5 games, and I think that'll be safe. We'll be safe. So
So,
I would still go for another trophy. I would rather go for an Europa League, and I would still actually prefer a top four spot. So yeah, that's what I would choose.
So
but with this
you're
squad,
okay.
sorry,
Go.
sorry. With the only question to me from me is to both of you: do you expect us to win at Sevilla with this squad? Very bleak. I
I
don't
think
see us winning.
yes. I think yes. Two reasons. Two reasons. One, because Sevilla are very perilously close to the drop. Very perilous to the drop. Like 5 points away from the drop zone. And I think for once they'd rather focus on saving themselves rather than going all the way into the competition. Now it also depends on how well we start that game. If we play the way we are expected to play, if we did play the way that we did against them in the first 30 minutes of the game at home, then I don't see any rhyme or reason why we are not the ones going through. It's as simple. And also we put in the fact that we had a pretty impeccable record against Spanish opposition when you consider this season. We've only lost once against Sociedad, and from there on we've either won or we've drawn games against
Barcelona.
Spanish opposition. We beat Barcelona, we beat Betis twice. We also almost managed to win against Barca at the Nou Camp. So yeah, all in all, it's been a pretty convincing performance from us against Spanish oppositions, and especially against a Sevilla side who would have their priorities somewhere else. I think we could go ahead and win, although that job becomes a little difficult. But yeah, I do see us winning the game against Sevilla, though. I do see us do that. Yeah. So, Ojasbhai, my question to you is based on the lineup that we are fielding against Nottingham currently, I think this was a pretty similar lineup to the one that we played against them in the semi-finals in the first leg of the Carabao Cup, with the only exception being that Rashford was leading the line for us. I think Arsenal have conceded. I'm not sure. Can
No,
anyone
no,
just
no.
go? No, they
The
haven't.
game's over.
The game,
It's a
it's a
draw.
draw. All right. Okay. So is this advantage City? I think yes, but we'll talk about that some other time. Or just by how important is the start here? Nottingham Forest definitely have prided on their defensive resolution. They've been very stout defensively, while they themselves don't score a lot of goals. They don't let in a lot of goals either. So how important it is, to go ahead and put in a good performance to assert ourselves at the start, because that is exactly what we did in the first leg. We scored a goal within the first 10 minutes, and from there onwards, the tempo of the game was more or less set, and we had control of the ball, of the chances, so on and so forth. So how important it is for us in this game to go ahead and replicate that, especially now that we have a massive depth of quality starting options also.
Yeah, I think what Forest have done is in past 5 games they have only got 1 point in last 5 games. That was a draw. I don't remember against which team. They have pretty much been below average for past couple of weeks. And being a Manchester United team, whatever quality of players you have on the pitch, You have to take the chance and win this game comprehensively. There can be no excuses against a team having such a bang average form for past couple of weeks and just turning up saying that we don't have the players to compete at the top level. I think it will be ridiculous for everyone. This Manchester United side has to be, I should say, they should be strong and comfortable on the ball. They should dominate the majority of the game and get the things done comfortably. We cannot have another Sevilla, especially with the points opportunity that we have to get the points ahead of Tottenham and Newcastle. I think United should go for the kill.
Precisely. Walibat, do you think a win over here more or less consolidates our place in the top four, given that we have to play Spurs? We still have one game against Spurs, and Newcastle have to play Arsenal. Do you believe that a win right here, and let's assume that we beat Spurs and Arsenal end up winning against Newcastle? So, how important winning this Nottingham Forest fixture is?
And let's not forget that Tottenham have to face Newcastle next, so that's
Exactly. So
actually
that's
advantages
another
for us.
yes, exactly. So
So yeah, it is. It is like each and every result from like today, from this game onwards, is something which will matter to all of us, because you could already see that Newcastle and Tottenham have dropped points. All 3 points they dropped. We have to win. We'll get that cushion. Once we get that cushion, we will have the confidence to actually uh, go ahead with a few more wins. And like I said, we just have to win a handful of games, and we're pretty much in the safe zone. So, and even if you look at the fixtures, there was a list that came out after the international break, before the Premier League resumed, that United have the third easiest fixtures of all the teams in comparison to everyone. So, looking into that, we have faced most of the major teams. I think just Tottenham is remaining, that too away from home. They haven't been great, and Chelsea at home. And let's just not talk about them at this moment of time. So,
uh,
we have.
two sudden banana skin fixtures pop up here. One
Mm,
against an inform Aston Villa at home,
mm,
and then we have to go Brighton also. So these are the two potential banana skin fixtures because Aston Villa are certainly tearing it up. Seven
mm.
wins in their last 8 games, and the eighth game was a draw. So they've not lost the past eight
Yep.
games. Ollie Watkins has suddenly become one of the most prolific strikers in England. Not that he wasn't before, also. He had the quality, he just didn't have the right players supplying him. Unai Emery's arrival has just prompted a sudden a sudden reversal of fortunes for Aston Villa. And the less said about Brighton, the better. I think we know how Brighton have been performing throughout the season under Graham Potter as well as under De Zerbi. So I think this win becomes much more crucial in the grander scheme of things. On the off chance that we do end up dropping points against either of those two oppositions.
Mm.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you have to at the same time praise the Premier League, because this season, like, it's been stacked with some top class managers. You talk about their performances. You talk about Newcastle, they're third. You talk about Brighton, they're fighting for a spot in top four. You talk about Aston Villa, they're right about there. Tottenham is struggling. Chelsea, in spite of actually spending truckloads of money in December, sacking two managers, they're nowhere close to the top four. So this Premier League season has been impeccable, and at the same time, you have to give credit to Mikel Arteta for a brief while, because he did actually stay right there at the top. Right now, he might be crumbling and he might not eventually win the league, but it has been a difficult season. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because you're talking about banana skins. So at this moment of time, any team could turn out to be a banana skin for a big team, apart from Manchester City, with the way that they're playing. I think any team could actually beat anyone on their day, and you just have to. I think we just have to remain focused. We just have to. I think today we just mentioned that we might be having more of the ball. I think it's not going to be as dominating as we presume. I think Nottingham Forest might actually dominate us to an extent. We might be the ones who might sit back, because once again, new centre back pairing, and we're actually good in transition and counter attack. So we might rely on to that. Once we do that, we might see us actually being more compact in defense, because that is what we need. And away from home, I do not think we have played very fluid football. I think apart from Barcelona,
Especially
probably.
against the big six sides. Especially
Hmm.
our away record against the big six sides have been downright atrocious.
Hmm.
But if we take the likes of playing against Southampton, we won there. We did win against Leicester. We almost nicked a draw against Arsenal away. And then I think other places also we've more or less done the business, but it hasn't, like you said, it hasn't been fluid. We've got out with 1-0 wins. We've got out with a 2-1 win against
What's our
Everton.
biggest away win this season? Does anyone remember? Like
It's only
in the league, in the league.
no,
If any, see, it's difficult. Exactly.
yeah, I don't think we've scored multiple goals
Yeah.
away. I think it's always been, I think, as far as I know, we won 1-0 against Southampton, 1-0 against Leicester, 1-0
Wolves
against
against
Wolves.
Wolves.
We won 2-1 against Everton.
Hmm.
We lost
But
3-1 against Aston Villa. Yeah, I don't think we've had a big away win. No, I don't think so. No, not in the
that
Premier
just says
League.
a lot. Yeah, that just says a lot. So we just have to
And
basically,
yeah,
hang in
we
there.
beat 2-1. We beat Fulham 2-1 before the World Cup break.
Hmm.
That's yeah,
At injury time. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, not exactly. The most goals we've scored is 3 against City, although we did concede 6 there. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the most amount of goals we've scored away in the Premier League at least.
We won 2-0 against Leeds away from home, but that was also a very tricky fixture, and it was actually,
They had us on
yeah.
toast for the first 45 to 50 minutes. So not
So it's
exactly
been
fluid.
difficult
So yeah.
on the road.
Yeah, exactly. Coaches, by how important is Bruno at the six today, especially against a side like Nottingham Forest, who like to sit deep, who are pretty compact. Uh, Bruno at the six in this game, do you think is a very very important factor in how the game's result is determined?
If, actually, I think there's going to be two attacking midfielders today. If what Valibai is saying is true, that we won't be having that much of the ball because of new centre back pairing, then we surely are having two attacking midfielders. Bruno won't be that deep, and he will try to come forward also to just create a three-way with Marshall, Sabitzer, and himself with width from our wingers. Sancho also is somewhat not a, I should say, winger. He's a wide playmaker. Um, so it is going to be very interesting what kind of football we play today. That will depend on the position of Bruno for me. If we are playing that team, absorbing the pressure and hitting them on the counter, then I can see Bruno not on six, but just allowing Casemiro to play both the defensive midfield and the number six role, and just being at the front foot with Sabitzer and Marshall.
What about your opinions on this, Valibai? Do you see Bruno playing the six today, or do you think it's going to be a floating role for him in the midfield?
Also, Bruno, I think the most impressed I have been of him has been as the role of a deep lying playmaker, because he just loves hoofing the ball. Like that's one of his favorite aspects.
Gives him
And
more license to do that from the place
yeah,
where he's playing currently.
yes, but if the Nottingham players actually try to press him, then that might be trouble for us, because if he loses the ball uh, close to our defense, then we might end up conceding. So that's going to be an interesting game, because in Everton you saw he had acres of space, and if you give Bruno acres of space, he is going to make that final product. He's going to make that pass towards Rashford or Anthony. So it's going to be interesting what Ten Hag is going to do over here. However, one thing is for certain: Sabitzer will play in the advanced role, and the reason why I think you had asked why Fred is not getting a game is because there have been plenty of occasions throughout the season in which Fred has found himself in areas where we should have scored. He has scored in some games, and in some games he's done his usual, hitting it in the stands. He's done that. As for Sabitzer, he has an eye for goal. He's really sharp with both his feet, be it his right, be it his left. So that's a good thing about him, and I think that is one reason why. Apart from that, he's also an engine, which Fred does actually offer. The same thing Sabitzer can also offer to you. So I think that is the reason why Sabitzer gets a nod ahead of Fred at this moment of time, because he does have an eye for a goal. As for Bruno, I think, although I do like him as a deep lying playmaker, I'm not too sure what he's going to do with him today. Is it going to be advanced, or is it going to be at the deep? It's going to be an interesting watch. I think Casemiro might be much deeper than Bruno.
There was a pretty interesting article in the Athletic today. I think it was today or last night. I'm not sure, but it states that the experiment of Bruno as a deep lying playmaker against the right opponent, the keyword here being the right opponent, could work amazingly well in our favor. And I say that because Nottingham Forest's season metrics for this season are not exactly promising. They are one of the less intense sides when it comes to pressing. So they're more or less close to what Everton did against us at Old Trafford. So they're going to be very laissez-faire in their pressing approach, which could give Bruno a little bit of an extra time, a little bit of extra time with the ball to maybe float the ball or maybe switch the play. So based on the metrics that I seen in that article, I do see Bruno could thrive in the deep line playmaker role today. But like you and like Ojis Bhai said, whether or not he's going to start as that deep line playmaker remains to be seen, or uh, whether or not it comes up to that point or no. So I
Yeah,
have a yeah
one
yeah yeah
thing
Ojis
that
Bhai.
can happen is it can also mean that if United are comfortable on the ball, you could see Casemiro making the runs also, like Declan Rice does for West Ham. Maybe, just a maybe, not sure about it.
Very weird comparing Casemiro to Declan Rice, but I'll allow it. Uh, so, my question to you both is a very serious one. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being sleep in peace and 10 being have whatever religious instruments you have in hand, how confident are you with Harry Maguire and Lindelof starting together as a centre back pairing?
I think you should ask this question to Harry Maguire and Lindelof also, and they won't be confident either.
But what is your rating on the panic meter, Walify? I'm going to ask you. For me, it's an 8.5. I'm genuinely scared at this point. I'm really very scared. I'm definitely going to have a rosary by my side when Lindelof and Maguire will be starting together. So, what are your ratings on the panic meter today?
It's good. I think it's five. I'm in the middle. I'm not too confident, and we have seen plenty of problems from them in the past. And it's just not them. And I know there are plenty of David De Gea fans as well. We all know that there are moments of brilliance from his end, but there are moments of brilliance when he needs to come off his lines, claim the crosses, and that hasn't been the case either. So I'm not too confident. I just hope we outscore Nottingham somehow, be it 2-1, be it 3-2, whatever. And yeah, but eventually, I'm not so confident. Hope they prove me wrong.
Usman, what about you? What's your rating on the
Uh,
panic meter?
no, no, it's totally 10. It's total 10. What actually what actually I just got the point from what Valibai said is that every slow centre back has a complementing quick goalkeeper on his feet. What I have watched from football. Ruben Diaz is not that fast. He has Edison. Savage is not that fast. He has Ola. And I'm Bayern defenders are pretty quick for Upamecano, Lucas, and so we cannot compare that. But somehow this, if David De Gea cannot help Maguire, player like Maguire, through his whatever the movement in the box and around it, it will always be a goal knocking on our doors. Whatever, how well Lindelof and Maguire play, there are going to be moments where you will be finding 100 meters of space between Maguire and De Gea. That is for sure. That is what I think.
Is this the day Maguire's unbeaten record comes to an end? An unbeaten record that he's so proud of, and he spoke about not jinxing it. Is this the day? I
I hope
hope for his.
his
Yeah,
unbeaten record goes on till the end of the season, because if
I
that's the case, we win everything.
I hope for his sake that his record continues, man. Because the way he spoke about it, I don't want to. He literally said this on TV with his chest out, like I don't want to jinx it. Like
The captain's
no,
armband is back.
exactly.
Typical weird Englishman. Typical weird Englishman doesn't even
I
realize
cannot.
sometimes.
I don't call him weird exactly. I mean, up
Kind
to
of
a certain
insecure.
extent, I do sympathize with the guy because more often than not he's caught flack for all the wrong reasons. And there was a time where he did perform great for us. I mean, uh, I think his injury during that Europa final run was almost at the same time where Licha got injured this season. It was very, very close, and I think all of us were over here literally shat up and saying that yeah, we're not winning anything now that he's injured. So, like it just goes on to show that how fickle sport is, and up to a certain extent, I do feel bad for the guy, but then it is what it is.
No,
The man speaks
all the all bad things happened to him in a cluster. Actually, it was
exactly, exactly,
definitely
exactly.
not. there's no way that can be a goal of what happened in the last game.
He's so
Which is
unfortunate, man. He's so unfortunate. I do not blame
like
him for that
proper
goal, dude. I
meme
just don't. I
proper
don't. I don't.
proper meme material. Well, life is equals to Harry Maguire. That is typical, like what
Like,
happened in the last game.
I like. I mean, let's take En Nasiri for example. That guy has been borderline useless after the World Cup. Like, with
Yes,
all due respect to him, that guy has absolutely been diabolical and useless. And out of all the days, he decides Thursday is the right day to jump like prime fucking LeBron James of Miami Heat. Like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Let's not
seriously,
forget
man.
that this is. Let's not forget that this is Sevilla. Jose Mourinho failed. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer
Football
failed.
heritage. Football
Yeah,
heritage.
our
there was
kryptonite.
a goal by some team also. Either it deflected under Herrera or Ashley Young. It was going somewhere. I remember that free kick, but I don't remember the year or the team now. But when bad things happen, there's no time and place for that. They just happen for whatever
It
the
does,
reason.
man. It does, yeah. I mean, I don't blame Harry Maguire for that second goal, but
I'm
it
not.
You
is
can
what it is,
no
man.
one can no
I,
one can blame him. They're fools if you're blaming Harry Maguire for that. No one
Yeah, exactly.
does
the
that.
two two
No,
the two two hasn't been bothered. That hasn't bothered me as much as
The
Martinez's
injuries
injury.
has exactly. I wouldn't have minded the draw as long as we got our players out of that in full health, and that is something which did not happen. Although I'm very relieved that it's not an Achilles, because
Yeah,
when he fell down, I immediately went like, oh my god, this is an Achilles, and we are just done. Like, he's out for the year, and we're so screwed. Thankfully, it wasn't an Achilles, and like the moment Ten Hag said that it's not the Achilles, I just breathed the sigh of relief. Like, okay, thank God it's not that.
let's not forget that this was a World Cup year as well, so it's been pretty difficult on
Exactly.
the players.
yes.
It's catching up
Yeah,
to them.
precisely. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's very unlucky of how it happened also. Like, it's not
there was
he
no
was
contact.
fighting
It was
something.
very minimal. I think his foot
Yes,
got stuck on the surface or something like that,
yes.
because there was no contact whatsoever.
It was just so sudden. I thought he tripped. I personally thought he tripped, and but what actually happened? What were the scenes after that? I had a feeling that it's very bad, and just the uh, immediate feeling that he's out of the season, which is true eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't have someone who can offset his loss also. Like, we don't have someone of that profile. Uh, One last question before I get into the predictions. Do you guys see Mark Jurado playing a role in this game at any point in time? He's an addition into the squad. He's in the matchday squad. He's named in the substitutes. Very highly rated academy product. Do you see him playing any sort of role? Wali bhai, do you
yes,
see
yes,
him
yeah.
play any sort of
Yes.
role?
I'm sorry, I lost the connection over there. Could you please ask me the
Yeah.
question once
Do
again?
you see Mark Jurado playing any sort of role in this game? Like, do you see him
Position,
coming on?
position.
I think he's a fullback. I think he's a fullback.
Which player? Which player were you asking about once again? Could you please?
Mark Jurado from the academy. He's found his way
Hmm.
into the matchday squad. He's on the bench along
Uh,
with Brandon Williams. Heard of him?
I don't think he's gonna have a role to play. Because like first and foremost, like I wanted to bring this topic up as well because when I saw the bench, I just wanted to cry my eyes out. Because just look at that bunch. It's Butland, Huardo, Williams, Ericsson, Fred, Pelestri, Sidan Iqbal, Elanga, and Weghorst. So I think the only prominent picks from this bench would actually be Ericsson, Fred, and
And
Pelestri.
Pelestri. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
about it. But we all know our manager loves Boot Weghorst. So after 60, 65 minutes, that guy's going to come on the pitch and we're going to,
Yes,
just
if it
wish.
is,
See,
he can play.
I
If it
I
is, he
wouldn't
can.
mind I wouldn't mind playing Weghorst and Martial together, because it gives either of Martial or Weghorst a focal point to aim at. So I wouldn't mind if both of them played together, because then you automatically mask Weghorst's positional flaws, as in him getting into those promising areas when you want to bury chances, when you actually need to bury them. So if you play both of them in tandem, I wouldn't mind that. But then if you're putting out one for the other, then that's where the alarm bells start ringing. Because I've
Yeah.
always noticed this, that whenever it comes to pressing a player, Weghorst runs like prime Usain Bolt. But
Hmm.
when the same Weghorst gets a goal scoring chance and he's one on one, he runs slower than Per Mertesacker, and we all know how slow Mertesacker was even in his prime. Like how the drop off in pace is so alarming. Like I don't know whether he does this on purpose or whether he just takes pride in pressing the fuck out of opponents. Just I don't seem to get over it, but then it is what it is. I've been noticing this for quite a while now. So
Yeah,
yeah. With that being said, guys, love to know your predictions for the game. Waribai, what's your prediction for the game, and who do you think scores the first goal?
I think it's going to be 2-1 in favor of United. It's not going to be an
Okay,
easy game.
all
So we'll
right,
score two. We'll concede in the 70th or 65th minute, and then we'll defend the entire 15-20 minutes. But we
all
might
right,
just be able to see it off the line. So I think it's going to be Martial to score
okay.
one, and Anthony. Anthony's getting quite. I feel really bad for the lad because he's been actually playing quite well in the past few games. So I think
Had
it's
his
going to be
best game, I
Anthony.
think. I think he had one of his
Yeah,
best games
he's
against Sevilla.
actually quite vital to our system as well. People have been disrespecting him for a while, but defensively he offers a lot. Apart from that, he's really
It's the price
one
tag.
dimensional. He
Not
prefers
even
his
it's
left
it's
foot
about the
and
price
all
tag
that. But
I
basically.
I will
Yeah.
this is right.
never accept how can people disrespect him, especially our own
It's about the
fans.
price tag. You look at
It's the price tag basically. It's the price tag. Because I had a
you just
conversation.
mm,
I had a conversation with a City fan with regards to the price tag of Grealish and Anthony. So their expectation of Grealish is entirely different. They don't want Grealish to score 20 goals or have 20 goal
yeah.
involvements in a season. Uh, their expectation from Grealish is entirely different from what our expectation from Anthony is. Our expectation from Anthony is basically score. Uh, a wide majority of United fans do not exactly look at his defensive work rate, and the select few who are very few in number. So the people who want more goal involvements from Anthony basically outweigh the people who actually want a much more balanced presence on the right, because a sensible United fan would basically know that how dysfunctional our right hand side has been. And
Mm,
we bought in Sancho as a right winger, and now we're playing him as a left. So that basically makes you understand the crux of the matter there is.
mm,
So
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So give Anthony time, man. I love the guy. I love whatever he does. If only he just decides to put in the right pass instead of every time pulling the trigger. That's the only thing I
No,
want. If I'm being nitpicky, that's it. If I just have to
he
pick something. If
he
I just have to
he
pick something.
he is surely having a 20 plus goal season in coming seasons. One of the seasons he is having 20 plus goal season. He is
Hopefully,
a
yeah.
Yeah, he's a very important player, a very correct player. I know whatever the price is, but just look at how the right side has functioned over the years. We have finally got a left-footed right winger, Brazilian talent, someone who Eric Ten Hag has thought also earlier. I think it will never be a failed signing for us. Hopefully.
Maybe if we do get a genuine number nine up front next season, who knows? Anthony's assist numbers could also balloon up. So
And with
yeah,
the competition of Diallo also coming, with the competition
yeah,
of Diallo
exactly.
also coming,
People are talking about
now
investing in Diallo stocks, by the way.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That
So
guy's on
this is
another
like,
level.
yeah, he's been excellent in the championship. Like he's got the right
and it's
guidance.
not easy
Yep.
for whoever is watching this stream. It's not easy performing in championship,
No, it's very
especially
difficult. It's
especially if
some
you are
to
not
some
born and
respects
brought
it
up
even
in
harder. It's even harder than the Premier League if you take
yes.
because it's like a quicksand. The more you try to get out of the championship, the more deeper you get stuck into it. That's
Games
how
just
I would.
keep on coming.
Yeah,
Games just
precisely.
keep on.
So, what is
Many
like your predictions for the game? Your predictions for the
I
game?
think I think it will be a wild prediction. I think we will win 3-0 or 4-0 with one of the front three scoring a brace.
Ah, fair enough. For me, it's 2-0. Professional, nothing, nothing too fancy about it. Just get the job done, solidify our grip on third place. That is what it is. So, with that being said, just less than 10 minutes left for kickoff, guys. Wali bhai, Oji bhai, thank you so much for joining in the stream. It was great talking to you guys about the game. Hopefully, Wali bhai, for your sake, I do hope that Martial does put in another great performance. I know how highly you rate him. And unfortunately, I don't. I don't rate him that much solely because of his injury record and also because of the simple fact that he's not been durable and he's not been healthy when we did want him to, and especially because he makes the team look so good when he's playing, it just leaves that bitter taste in your mouth. So I just hope he has another great game. Very happy for him when he did perform against Sevilla, though. That is what we wanted throughout the course of the season. Maybe would have been in a much better place then, but it is what it is. So I hope he have a great game. I hope we get the 3 points. For once, we do capitalize on people slipping up, because it's been a very, very ugly habit of us where we do not capitalize on other people's misgivings or other people's shortcomings, and that is more often than not haunted our seasons every now and then. So I hope this is different. Thank you to all of them in the chat who were there in our conversation. Thank you so much. Do smash that like button. Do press the subscribe button. Do press the bell icon so that you're notified for any and every video that we put out on this channel. Do follow us on our socials, on Instagram, on Twitter. Drop us a follow there. Do join us on our WhatsApp group as well. The link is in the description below. With that being said, all the best for the game. Wali bhai, Ojas bhai. Hope we do end up with a result in this game. And hopefully I'll see you soon on the other side. Till then, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and GG and you two all. See you.